The SRA has recently revamped its master list of people and organizations providing training and materials for the SQE. So let's break it down. What's in the SQE Provider List? What can candidates learn from it? And can it be relied upon? Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Lindsay, a longtime solicitor and SQE blogger living in London, and today I wanted to talk about the SRA's SQE Provider List and its new training and course finder functionality. As you might know, the SRA maintains a master list of people and organizations that provide SQE training and/or materials for test candidates. They've maintained and published this list for about as long as the SQE has been around. So what should you know about this list? Firstly, and most importantly, appearing on the SRA's SQE Provider List is not an endorsement of a provider's products or services. Appearing on the list does not mean anything other than that a person or organization has asked the SRA to put them on the list. That's it. A provider sends the SRA its details and the details of its offering, and the SRA will usually publish those details. The SRA does not and has never reviewed or endorsed the offerings of any SQE provider or publisher. I mention this because from time to time you will see certain SQE publishers claiming that they are SRA authorized or SRA approved, or they might use words like official course provider. This isn't true. There's no such thing as an official SQE training provider. The only thing these claims tell you is that you may want to exercise some caution in dealing with parties who've made them, because they are, at the very least, playing fast and loose with their marketing and promotional copy. Secondly, the SQE provider list is neither current nor complete. Again, providers of courses and materials have to ask the SRA to appear on the SQE provider list, and some of them just don't, or just haven't. I can think of at least two well-known UK legal publishers who produce well-regarded SQE texts that, for one reason or another, don't appear on the provider list. On the flip side, you've also got certain training providers who are on the list even though they no longer provide SQE products or services. These are usually smaller providers that may have stopped trading, but they remain on the SQE's provider list, presumably because they haven't told the SRA to update their listing. Thirdly, I wanted to speak a little bit about the new and improved SQE Training Provider List. This list used to be an alphabetized list, searchable only by a provider name, but the SRA has recently introduced some new functionality which they hope will help students better sort through the providers and find the information they need about available resources. This new tool/functionality is called the SQE Training and Course Finder. The SQE Training and Course Finder provides certain filters to help candidates sort and compare options when they're deciding how to prepare for the SQE assessments. Having looked at it briefly, I find it interesting, but also a little bit confusing. First, the overall categorizations. I usually imagine that as a candidate, you're probably looking for one of three things: a provider that is providing SQE instruction and study materials, or just SQE instruction, or just SQE study materials. And I found that this information is presented in a bit of a muddled way, and it can be difficult to discern which providers are providing what. Of course, this isn't entirely the SRA's fault, as again, they rely on the information as provided to them by an SQE provider. That said, the SRA seems to have a tendency to think of most resources as SQE courses involving teaching, and their Training and Course Finder uses the word course throughout and categorizes things as courses which aren't. Some things, like materials, are just materials. They're mocks or books, and so this can be confusing. Second, the stated prices. The Training and Course Finder tool helpfully provides a prices filter as a way for students to sort through SQE providers and offerings. This is a good thing, obviously, as A, one of the SRA's stated SQE goals is to improve the affordability of the qualification process, and B, price is obviously a very important factor when candidates are considering how to prepare for the SQE. So a price filter is available, but only very broad price ranges are provided. Prices range from £0 to over £8,000, and the lowest price a person can select for is £0 to £2,000. As a candidate, I probably wouldn't find this all that helpful because obviously this is a huge range, and while I may have £200 or £300 to spend on my primary books, or £50 to £100 to spend on some supplementary materials, I may not have £2,000 because that's a lot of money. And this sort of comes back to what I was saying earlier about how I think the SRA provider list seems to treat courses as the default in SQE prep. Yes, instruction-based courses may reasonably cost £1,000 or £2,000, but materials like books and supplementary mocks should not. And I hope that future iterations of the Training and Course Finder tool can better address this and better allow students to search for prep materials with more targeted and realistic price points. Key takeaways. The SRA's SQE Provider List is a good resource for prospective SQE candidates. It's probably the single most complete compilation of SQE providers, but as I've mentioned, you shouldn't treat it as the definitive or final word. A candidate will still need to look outside the list to fully understand everything that may be available to them. So if you're looking for a provider of SQE instruction or materials, you may want to do some of your own research outside of the SRA list to find additional providers or resources that fit your situation or might be more appropriate for you. I hope you found this overview to be helpful. There's lots more information on our website and in our archives over at the SQE Self-Study Site blog, so please check that out. I've linked the site below along with a few related articles that you may find helpful, including one on how to choose an SQE training course and another about key books and materials for SQE 1 and SQE 2. And if you've tried the SRA's new SQE Training and Course Finder, please let me know how you found it. Good, bad, something in between? I'd love to know. And that's it. Until next time, good luck, and I'm rooting for you.